Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, Maryn Pegan of rock band The Space Between. Maryn grew up loving theatrical music, but then she found Tool and it took her away. Let's find out more about Maryn. Welcome to All Worn Out. It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about, and it's a podcast about whatever our guest is passionate about. Today, we are joined in studio, in-house, by the very mega-talented vocalist, the ultra-cool Maryn Pegan.
Thank you.
The Space Between.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yay! There's just been so many dudes sitting there for so long, like so many days in a row. And it's just like, I don't have a problem with them or anything, but it's just like, after like 15 days in a row, it's like,
You know, I'm glad I can break up the monotony a little bit for you. I have a feeling it's going to be a great episode.
Yeah, probably going to be one of our bestest, even though I forgot to even offer you a drink. But if you want anything, I can get it for you.
I'm not picky. You're all good.
All right, excellent. For now then, looking at the calendar, I've got a bunch of girls coming in soon. It was just, you know, when I announced I was doing the podcast, I don't know how, but all the guys just were like, oh, pick me. And so they filled up that first half, and kept me busy, no doubt about that. So, moving on to Maryn. Maryn, you are a lead vocalist and have been for quite some time. Mm-hmm. When did this music begin for you? What do you remember going back in time?
This may surprise you, maybe not. I started my musical career, so to speak, when I was very, very young. I was very into musical theater as a kid. So I did all of the out of school productions. I did the in school stuff. I went to the theater summer camps, like the week-long ones. Super into it because my mom and my mom's mom as well were very into the theater world, and that was a big part of like what we would do as a family. My grandma would take us out to like the NAC and go watch a musical together. So it makes sense that I got into that when I was young. And then my dad was the one who kind of brought the rock grunge influence to me as well. I mean, he did a good job.
Look what could have... Oh my God. You could have been singing that Disney song right now, but your dad had to just make you into a rock and roll.
And he did a good job too. He has always been a fan, like I said, rock, grunge, Tool is his big band, so that's one of my favorites that I still constantly put in my top 5. He was very into Nine Inch Nails, did Arctic Monkeys, things like that, and that would always, when he would be in the house working on different projects, because he was a stay-at-home dad when I was younger, the music would always just be on. So started getting a little bit of influence from that, which maybe made me lean a little bit more away from the theater and more kind of towards this world that I'm in right now. But started off there, actually moved into classical singing after that. I went to Canterbury High School, which is a local Ottawa high school for the arts. I did their vocal program the whole way through. So that was a lot of, like I said, classical. And then we also did choral singing as well, so group singing. And kind of midway through high school is when I started actually exploring being in the world of rock myself.
Wow. That's very cool. Thank you for that. I was scribbling as I went there because there's so much, and I want to go through a lot of it.
Yeah.
So the first thing is about the beginning. So where does it all begin where you're into the theatrical music? Is it because of Disney movies? Is it because of going to the plays with grandma? What is it that originally hooks you into theatrical style singing and music?
Yeah, I mean, I think really it was a combination of everything. I think it's just something that was in my family, like I said, we went to those outings to the NAC. That's the kind of music that my mom would listen to as well. So whenever she was driving us anywhere in the car, it would always just be, she'd have like the, I don't know, like the Oliver Twist soundtrack on or something like that.
Do you want to know something wild? Is in one of my notes for today, I was going to ask you about the theatrical sound to some of the songs I hear in the sound of your voice, and how it reminded me sometimes of like almost power metal, like almost verging on power metal, which I believe comes from that, or it goes through that theatrical style of singing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what I was hearing and picking up on. So that's so cool that is kind of how it began. And I also remember going to the NAC with my grandma, and she took me to Old Man River. I'm gonna get YouTube clipped again. But anyways, every time I sing on this show, YouTube's like, no. But yeah, I went to go see that. I can't remember which one that was. Showboat, or I don't remember, something like that. Gosh.
Yeah, my memory of musicals is far and few between now.
I've got a lot of respect for them. People who get up on that stage and go through that process, it's a lot of work.
Well, and it's very much like a combo sport, if you will, as well. You've got the singing, you've got the acting, and you've got the dancing as well. And I've always been a terrible dancer, and that's not a skill that I have anymore.
What?
I was never great at it. I mean, I did the blocking, which is the choreography and whatnot. It was never my strong suit. And now the acting as well. I mean, obviously, stepping on a stage, you have to somewhat act, and you put on a persona for the stage. But in terms of actual acting, that's also a skill. It's not something I can just pull out of my tricks right now. So
Interesting. So your dad then kind of starts putting in your mind the idea of classic rock and some, well, hard-hitting bands and a little bit of punk as well. It's rock, and you took to it. So do you remember, like, was it Tool that took you in the beginning? Was that like the first band that grabbed you?
100%. It was Tool, and it's always been Tool. And I remember I actually went to see them in concert with James last year, and he can attest to this. I think during like the second song, what did they start playing? They started playing Jambi, I think it was. And I started crying. I was like, this is a quintessential life moment right now. Like where a lot of my love for music and where my career right now stands. It's like, my God, finally being able to see this band, especially after Maynard, who's the lead singer, was, didn't he get COVID like twice? And he had so many vocal complications.
Oh, that's not fun.
No, I think like from the articles I read, people were worried he wasn't going to sing again. There wasn't going to be a tour, which I was super stressed out about. So seeing them was this giant, like I said, just huge moment for me, because they were really the band that started kind of pulling me into that world, which is a weird one.
Why are Tool fans, I find, so hardcore? I mean, the Tool fans love Tool.
Yes.
And it's a deep love. Like, I've never met a Tool fan who was like half in, who was like, yeah, they're pretty good. Like, you should check them out. No, it's like, Tool changed my life. Tool made me into something cooler. But no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, like,
no, but you're right. Hopefully, I'm not super pretentious about it when I talk to people about it.
No. I'm being a wiener head. Not at all.
It's very much like, it's not easy listening.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to listen to music which has like the super melodic, like floating riffs, plus, you know, the bass lines that are really just guitar riffs on a bass with the insane technical drumming and then Maynard's vocals, like, it's, I don't want to say it's a chore to listen to, because it's not a chore, because it's something I want to do, but But if you're just looking for like music with some of those types of elements, it's not what you would immediately be putting on.
Going back to Taming Sorry days, in the early days of with the producer and our drummer, he was playing and the producer stopped him and he took him through the track and he was like, he said, well, what is all this? Ghost notes and double kick this and that. What are you, a Tool fan? And Adam was like, I am. Actually,
of course he was.
I'm a huge fan.
I'm not surprised.
I love them. And he was like, and the producer was like, no, well, you don't drum like them on your album. It's a Southern rock album. You're not going to do what Tool does.
Be an interesting combo of genres.
You know, like, that's kind of the thing that's cool about producers. They'll start nitpicking and finding all these things that you just oversight, you just go with. You don't overthink things too much. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, you're kind of singing there like Elvis, Warren. You might want to stop there with the, you know, that's enough of that. And, you know, bring back the voice that is you.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about you in school.
Okay.
Because this is when well, first let's first go with, like, did you buy a CD? Are you too young for that? Did you ever buy music? Have to buy music?
Not really. No. It was never really CDs for me. It was mostly just streaming or radio. And radio was the really big thing in my house when I was younger. Because when my dad was throwing on stuff that was not necessarily like stuff he had downloaded, it would always be, we're big fans of Live 88.5 in our house. So it was them all throughout the day, so you get really, really comfortable with the personalities on there. DJ Noah's a voice that I've heard in my house forever. Yeah. He's a household staple, but no, not super a CD gal. I hate to disappoint. I wish. I like the idea of the collecting of CDs, especially now that vinyl's making a comeback. I would love to be able to have a collection of like my favorites on vinyl, on CD, whatnot. It's just such an expensive hobby now.
It's pretty insanely expensive.
Yeah.
So you are, let's just say you're in middle school.
Okay.
I mean, are you into pop music at this time at all?
Yeah, sure.
Are like you're into like what everybody's into, or were you pretty hard into the Tool? Like, were you a little bit different because you were into the rock music?
I had both camps. I was in middle school, like, if you threw on the Rihanna, the Jason Derulo, whatever, at the school dance, I would know the words. I'd be singing, like, but in terms of...
So funny you say that. So you said Rihanna and Jason Derulo. So if I go back in time and I think about what was up on the big screen at the dance, you know what it was? It was Ja Rule and J-Lo. And that's who was up doing their thing, you know? So, just to date myself for you, okay? Like, baby. Okay, I'm going to get copyrighted again. Anyways, okay, so keep going for me if you can.
Well, it's just very much like I had the influences at home, but I was also cognizant that my music that I listened to was not necessarily music that my middle school age friends would be like, oh yeah, put that song on. Put on 46 and 2. No, it's not something that the 12 and 13-year-old girls and me would be partying up to in middle school. So I had some separation there.
Okay, fair enough. So you're coming out of grade 8. I think you're going into high school.
Yeah.
And you got to make a choice. And was Canterbury like always the goal from like day one, going back years?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was in grade 6 I had decided that I wanted to go to Canterbury. And so throughout grade 7 and 8, I took classical voice lessons to prep myself for that. I'd been taking voice lessons for years at this point, but it was very much like the lessons that I took were, what song do you want to sing this week? Let's sing that. And then maybe there were a few notes on technique, whatnot, but it was mostly just for fun. Like you have this hour per week that You can just go and be like, I want to learn this song. And your teacher's like, okay, great, let's do that. Maybe let's do a recording of it. But 6, 7, 8 was really when I kind of got solidified, and I could see this being something more than a fun thing for me. So I started learning my music theory, started learning my classical singing technique, and just... yeah, that was kind of the starting point, and then Canterbury was next steps.
Okay. And do you have to audition to get into Canterbury?
Yeah.
Okay. And is that mostly like you have to, it's important that you just look at them in the face and you keep the confidence going, or are they looking for pure talent?
I think it's both. I think what my teacher told me once I'd gotten into the program was they were really looking for potential and for passion. And the audition was very much a combination of, like, you sing your song, you did some sight singing, sight reading, which was always terrifying for me. I hated it. You did some ear training, like, match this note, what's the lowest note I'm playing in this chord type of thing, what intervals are these. So combination, but really they were looking for who wants it.
Right.
Which I think is something that, I mean, you can teach, what a perfect fifth sounds like. You can't teach someone to be super driven and really just like go for their dreams.
I remember the audition process for theater school, and when we finally got in and we saw everybody who got in, because there was like 350 of us, going through that audition that day. And like, so by the end of it, when we're sitting there with the final group, it's like, I remember the judgment that passed over certain people immediately. People were looking at them like, why? How did you get in? Like, I saw your audition. There was nothing to it.
Yep.
And I already knew that these people had incredibly deep passion for performance, and they just were a little bit odd. And that when it came time for them to perform, they really showed their passion.
Yep.
There was a native girl, Jen, who had just left like home, never left like the reserve before. And like, she started out so quiet. And by the end of the semester, she was like the best in the whole class, like just boom. And in the beginning, everyone was like, oh, why would they let Jen in? She's so quiet. Like, oh, why, And then it's like, watch out. You watch out. These people who are passionate, who you're not quite sure of, they're the ones to watch,
100%. I mean, it was very much the same. My class was very small. By the end of the 4 years, I think we started off at 23, I think, and we got down to 17. There were some people, like everyone from all walks of life. Some people had those like big booming voices. Some people had smaller voices. You had guys, girls, like everyone you could think of. And I think that was kind of the special thing about it, because if everyone's the exact same, no one's really going to stand out. Similar to kind of what you're saying there. But no, you can't judge a book by its cover. And I think if some people are given like hey, I think you can do this, that's really what puts it into high gear for some people.
And the teachers love it.
Yeah.
The professors, the teachers, that's what they get off on that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that they see this and they're like, ooh, I'm going to mold this clay that's barely ever been molded. But man, it's going to be wicked. So I would just advise, if you go into a program like a theater school program, just make sure you put on that persona. do that whole, I'm so passionate, but I'm weird. Yeah, Warren's advice. It's always great. So you get through Canterbury. You did 4 years there, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Is there musicals? Did you guys do yearly or anything like that, or graduating year?
There were like bi-yearly musicals. So we had one in grade 9, which the auditions were the year before, so I wasn't able to participate in that one.
Dang.
And then by the time we did the one in grade 11, I had I had somewhat lost my passion for musical theater. So I know.
What? No!
At that time, I was in
A band?
in the band, in the rock zone.
Yeah.
And as much as I think we did Mamma Mia in grade 11, which was super fun.
Yeah.
I didn't have the time for it, which was very sad because who doesn't love ABBA?
I get it. But, I thought for sure we were going to get some stories about maybe you being, taking the lead in one of these things.
No, unfortunately not. I think the last musicals I did were, I want to say grade 7 or 8. Probably grade 7. I think the last one I ever did was the Charlie Brown musical, where I played Lucy, which was super fun to play because you're just like this annoying, bratty character. Yeah. It was awesome, and she had super fun songs as well. But no, the musicals unfortunately did not continue into high school.
I mean, I remember they did Fiddler on the Roof when I was in, I think, grade 12.
Yeah.
And I was running the drama festival in Cornwall, which was like 45 minutes away. And so I was getting to leave school for like a week to go and like just sit there and check schools in with their plays. And be like, yes, you can have half an hour in the theater. If you need
Sorry
anything,
guys, I have to go. It's the festival.
Speak with me. If you need lights, I don't like heights, so don't ask me to go on the catwalk. But anything else you need, beverage.
Big boss of the theater, eh?
Oh yeah. And so the auditions came along and I did it, but I don't know. I guess he didn't like me, and so I got Fiddler on the Roof. He made me the Fiddler on the Roof, but the fiddler doesn't sing anything. He just sits on the roof and pretends to play the fiddle. So
Heights too.
I know. Worst. It was horrible, and they put me on the little. It was a little shed, but it was still high enough that I disliked it. And I remember I couldn't grow any facial hair whatsoever, like not even the littlest bit. And I remember the girls laughing their heads off when they do our makeup beforehand, and the guys, and they do our makeup and they put our facial hair on with the glue. And I'd be like, oh yeah, this is great.
Well, you don't have to fake it now.
Yeah, well, yeah, so you think. No, yeah, exactly. I did at least get that, that much manliness finally came through. But it took a long time, folks. Long time.
You just had to see it, and then once it clicked, it started growing in.
It's from my mom's side. If I got if my dad had any say in the matter, no, I wouldn't be able to grow any facial hair, because he's jealous of it. He's like, your beard, eh? I'm like, yeah, you wish, but it's my mom's genes.
There you go.
So Canterbury High School comes to an end, and you get accepted to Carleton. Where else did you apply?
I was pretty darn set on Carleton. I applied to Carleton. I applied to Ottawa for their vocal program, which their program is very classical. Like classical, opera, that was what they did. Whereas Carleton was much more like, hey, come on in, choose whatever you want kind of thing. And then I was also really set on staying in town. Because we had great options in town and saved money on rent, housing, whatnot. So I also applied to Carleton for their criminology program.
Oh, now, that have anything to do with the CSI? I remember when that show was mad popular, when I was many moons ago, the numbers skyrocketed statistically for that program, across North America. Those programs were no, it's not like the TV show.
I'm very into the crime TV and murder mysteries and whatnot. But I have a lot of law/legal people in my family. My dad, he used to be a security guard at hotels, and then my grandpa on my mom's side he was a chief justice in the Ontario courts. So I have influence on my dad's side, and then my dad's brother is also a corrections officer, and then my mom's side there. So it was all very much in the family.
Don't mess with Maryn's family, folks. That's basically the lesson here. Otherwise, you're going to get boom, with a fistful of lawyers.
Dad's side is a little bit scary. I remember in middle school, we were going on a field trip for the, those haunted walks they do downtown.
Yes.
We were doing those. My dad was chaperoning. And my then boyfriend at the time, my middle school boyfriend, who's actually also in the Ottawa music community, and we're still very close friends to this day. Caden from Passenger Princess. We went to the same middle school together. And he and I are still quite close friends. But my dad was chaperoning this field trip, and I remember Caden and then his best friend, who's also another one of my close guy friends, come up to me. They're like, "Is your dad a motorcycle driver?
Yeah.
Is he a wrestler?" Terrified of my dad. And then the whole way through the trip, I was just holding my dad's hand instead of my boyfriend's hand the whole time. So little bit intimidating, but really nice guy.
Aw. Well, that's a good story. And that's cool that you're like both still in the community all these years later. And...
Yeah, I mean, we went to different high schools, but we were friends throughout high school. And then afterwards, it's been all through university. He went to Carleton as well. And then now that we're both out of university, still very close. I'm going to see a show tonight. So
okay, where's that happening?
Club Saw. He's playing in the side-by-side weekend, like the festival they've got going on there.
Have you played in Club Saw?
I have.
How do you like that?
I mean, the venue is nice. It's nice to have like a proper green room.
Oh, yeah,
and it's nice to have space to store stuff. I know when I was playing there, we were opening for Civilian. So they had all their stuff on stage. So made it a little bit tight, especially because this gig was the first one that we were playing with our new fourth bassist, which was very exciting. But we hadn't performed with four of us on stage before. So with it being a tiny bit squeezy plus the additional person, we had to make it work. But venue is super nice. And they've got a nice bar. The courtyard's nice too. Yeah, can't really complain. And you don't have a ton of like mid-sized venues in Ottawa. And that one's, like small to mid-size, but on the larger end of small.
So, whenever you said you were not any longer interested in the musical theater because you were in a band,
yes.
Was this your first band that
you were
in? And what was this band?
This band was 5+9. So we were in the Ottawa music community for about 5 years, I want to say. Some of those years a little bit more invested than others. But it was a band. Basically, the story is I did not mean to join this band. It was almost a happy accident. So when the Blues Fest school was still running at its like full operations, I had signed up for the Rock U weekend program. I did this for 1 year with a different group of guys. We played cover tunes. The great thing about this program too was at the end of the year you got to play at Blues Fest. So we got to play like a set there. I think we had 1 or 2 original songs that we played for 15 minutes. Was super fun, but I wasn't gonna sign up again because I wasn't, I don't know, I guess I wasn't sold on it. I don't know, but
you were just ready to go on your own, that's all.
Yeah. But time comes in September when the next program starts up. Day of the program starting, my mom gets an email from the festival coordinator. She says, "Hey, we have a band here. We want another singer for them. Can you come in?" And I was very on the fence about it. I'm like, I don't know if I want to commit to this. It's like time on my Saturdays for every week. It was fun, but I wasn't super invested. But it was my mom who was like, you should go. It'll be fun, whatnot. So I go in, and it's, who was it at that time? It was There was another singer there. There was my old guitar player and old bassist. So we didn't have a drummer yet at this time either. But no, it ended up being the start of a... I mean, I can't even begin to describe it. It's like that band, immediately going into this new band, I would not be where I am right now if it wasn't for that single email, which is kind of freaky to think about. And people talk about the butterfly effect, and they talk about, oh, you have these moments in your life that change things. I'm like, my life right now would be very different if I had said no to that.
Very different. And
yeah.
I remember back then,
Uh-huh.
I remember back in those days, that I think people looked at you guys as like real up-and-comers, as like kid stars. Like people were like, go see that band. They've got like a great singer and they've got a great guitar player, and like you're gonna love it. And like a lot of people did. You guys had a great reputation for your age and for what you guys were doing. I think you had a great success.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you found a way to like learn through a program and then learn what you dislike about it. And I mean, that means you're ready to move on and learn new things. And you did. You continue to. And like you said, it keeps going forward because you're parlaying the experience and you're parlaying the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks a lot to your character when you say like, oh, I'm still friends with an ex-boyfriend from like an eon ago.
I use the term ex-boyfriend lightly. Grade 8,
okay.
It was, but...
Like, I had a friend, and he had like 3 ex-girlfriends over one time at his house, and I was like amazed. I was like, I don't want to see any of them.
I think 3 would be a little much for me.
They were all hanging out, being friendly, and I was like, no. You know, I couldn't do it. I'm not that cool. Like, that's cool. But like I'm saying, it speaks to your character, and I think everyone in your band has it works for that. Like, you guys all exhibit a lot of character to me. Like, good character, hard work ethic. For example, like when you organized the Rocktober event, that must like been a lot of work. James says it was a lot of work. Did he do anything? Sorry, James. I had to get you.
James, to his credit, he did a lot. It was, it was a super, super incredible event to organize. And it was also a super trying time for the band, because this was our first real major project. And as much as, up until that point, we had put on all of our own shows. Like, we were self-promoting, organizing all the bands, doing the venues, everything like that. Like, we were self-made. And this is something that we were like, okay, I think we can go bigger. James especially is very big on charity. I know you guys talked a little bit about his scouting and whatnot, and the work he's doing with Chiron Promotions right now. He is such a generous person and really is interested in giving back to the community. And we really wanted to pair that with music and with celebrating the local community and the local musicians that are in it, because we have so many talented people. But putting on an event like that is insanely difficult, especially with just the 3 of us organizing it. We didn't have, certainly we had support from a lot of people, but really like logistics were all down to us. So, I mean, definitely like buttons got pushed here and there, but I think it made us stronger as a group. And, it's something I look back on with a lot of fondness and a lot of pride in both James, Tom, and in myself. Just knowing that something of that magnitude is like, hey, we did that, and we could do it again as well.
What do you want to do the next? Do it again? Do you want to do a part 2, or you're gonna wait a bit?
I think it's very up in the air right now. This year, it's not going to happen.
Yep.
there's just, like I said, it's a lot of work for 3 people by
No
themselves.
doubt.
So we would need additional support, because one of the things that was a struggle about that event is how do we work on this and make it a success while still working on the rest of our career. And I think that was a tricky balance, because the event took up so much of our time and our energy. Like, we had stopped writing for a little bit at that point, which was challenging. But so in the future, we would certainly have to have some kind of backbone to make it a little bit more sustainable. But no, I would love to do something like it in the future.
I think you guys did an amazing job, and no one going to the events would have had any idea that it was just the 3 of you. I think they would have assumed that there was quite the crew. I remember showing up, and like, I was very impressed for our night, and I was impressed because, like, as soon as I got in there, I just saw all these people doing stuff, and James running around back and forth, but everyone was happy. Everybody, it was there was busyness. It was busy, but it was a happy busy. And it wasn't like a stressed out, like, wow, we're 10 minutes to countdown or whatever, and it's all going to explode. No, it seemed like everyone was on the up and excited. And I'm pretty sure you guys had like a whole bunch of high school students doing volunteer hours, didn't you?
Yeah, we had, for all 3 nights, we had high schoolers. So we had them doing things like running the door, running the merch booths, running the raffle. Some of them assisted with more technical things, like if they were into, gear or lighting or whatnot. We tried to pair them up with our techs there and do a little bit of mentoring. But they were a great crew to have. They brought a lot of energy, for sure.
They were very positive on the night that we were there, like, all very positive, wanting to be part of the night in a good way. And which I was like, cool, that's awesome to see. And like, the schools should be like thanking you and like being like, please do it again and again, please. But did you what did you do for your community service hours?
Oh, what did I do for my community service hours? I think I also did some kind of like volunteering in music. There was some kind of event that was going on over the weekend when I was in high school. I can't quite remember what it was, but it was some kind of like festival style thing where I was also assisting with setup and busy work and whatnot. And I think having that as an option to do volunteer hours is so fun. And especially for those kids that really like music, really, maybe music is their passion, or teching or whatnot, being able to get them that in and say, hey, here's some experience, intel, learning that you can get for free for just a little bit of your time that you would have to do anyways. I mean, I think it's a pretty good deal. So I'm super glad that I got to be able to use my time in that way. And like you said, I just hope that it was valuable for the kids we had it.
I think it was definitely valuable, but I mean, I remember I coached like little kids bowling team.
Nice.
And that was fun. But then the other way, I got like 12 hours for, like, we watched a pig roast overnight at the fairgrounds. So there was like literally like 20 guys. We were all out there, like, all signed up to watch this pig roast overnight. And like, this one guy was like, oh, has anyone got any weed? And then I was like a little kid, like I wasn't into that stuff back then at all, man. I wasn't cool with that. Anyways, I was fine with it, but I wasn't into it. And then like they sent these 2 people off with money to go like get it from somebody, and they never came back. Like, they came back like 6 hours later or something, and they had nothing. They were like, oh, we smoked it, man. Like classic, like Corey and Trevor, Trailer Park Boys style, like just complete doofuses. Like, oh man, we were supposed to share that, man.
This sounds like the sketchiest volunteer hours I've ever heard of, ever.
Welcome to Chesterville, Ontario, ladies and gentlemen. Chesterville, Ontario, and the home of the drummer from Buffalo Springfield. That's
Fun
right.
Time.
That's on the sign. Sorry to ramble. So then, after this, you guys did a bunch of other shows, right? And coming up, you're going to open for The Damn Truth.
Yep.
That's your big one coming up?
Big one coming up. We've got one in October as well.
Another
Hush
in the
Hush.
chamber?
Not announced yet.
Oh my god. Is it big?
We're going to be headlining this one.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so it's going to be one of our own shows, which we haven't done a headlining show since Rocktoberfest. So that'll be nice to do that again. Still securing some details on that. So viewers at home, keep it on the down low. But no, super excited for that. Super excited for August with The Damn Truth. It's got a few other Ottawa bands on there as well. Iconoclast, one I've heard the name bounced around a lot and have not been able to see them yet. So I'm excited to.
Who, Iconoclast?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about them. I played with those guys once in Kingston.
Okay.
And it was at the Mansion, and it wasn't the greatest attended night. But I'll tell you something. We had just gotten back from the studio, and I think we were doing some kind of crazy, idiotic thing where we were like playing at a show like 2 days after the studio or something. Like we were like, oh yeah, like
classic.
We'll do the studio, and then like we'll test those brand new songs out. Like we'll test it like here and here on the way back. You know, and you do way too much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not good. Anyways, I mean, they were great. That night, they were great. They were really cool guys. Great vocalists. Great vibes from that band. And also very supportive. Like, yeah, they've been cool to me in the past. So I think you'll enjoy that. That's going to be a really good show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it a lot.
So are you done at Carleton now?
I've been out for just over a year now.
How did you beat James? Like
I'm older than James.
Whoa, James? What? Okay.
What lies has he been telling you?
Just joking. Just joking. All right, so you're older than James. I didn't know that. But
I'm not the oldest in the band, but I am older than James.
I think I am the oldest in the band.
No, Tom has that title. Grandpa Tom is...
Grandpa Tom? He looks like he's 20 at most. Like, you know, he does not look old.
He is... Is he... He's 25.
Okay, well,
yes, he's 25.
He looks even younger than that, you know, so... Anyways, if that's your grandpa, you guys are doing great.
Yeah.
You guys are doing fantastic in the age thing, you know?
No, he's the oldest. I'm the second. I'm 23. And then our new bassist, I believe, is 21. And then James is 20. So James is the baby of the band. So
Yay. Nothing wrong with that. You know, there's always got to be someone who's the youngest. I'm just looking in the camera. I'm noticing like your arms are like completely covered in these really cool tattoos.
Yeah.
I mean, was it always like that, or has that got some upgrades recently?
Upgrades for sure.
That's what I thought.
This whole arm is...
Oh, the skeleton into the head. Oh, that's
cool. I got this done within 6 weeks. I've had this arm for maybe 2 years now. Love the art. His name is Chris. He's at 3 Round Tattoo. He's done all my arms, and then I've got a few other pieces. But this arm I love because it's got the microphone that I use here. That's my Sennheiser.
Yeah, I use a Sennheiser too, but it's not on my arm. But I use one.
So love that one. It's got like the florals and a few other music homages. That's a choir piece that I used to sing in high school. Love this arm. I thought it was a little bit lonely. So...
Not lonely anymore.
I had to balance it out with the other one. And I really, like this arm, my artist was like, oh, you know, it's so full of things you love and it's so pretty. I'm like, let's do the other arm. Still pretty, but like a little bit creepier. Like a little bit of like a...
The dark side.
Exactly. You gotta have like one nice one.
It's both sides of the force.
Yeah.
That's right.
So... You've got like a few skulls, things like that. Got the rib cage, and then you have the skull on the inside there. But he made sure that all of the skulls were open mouth because he's like, oh, it's for singing. And then you've got the rib cage here for like breath and your
yes.
lungs and things like that. So even though it's not directly music related like this one is, it still has, if you look for it, it has the homage there.
Excellent. I like that. Speaking of, did you study the breath when you were in university? Or is that just a thing, like, they don't really talk about it that much?
Breath, I mean, if you're studying vocals, breath is always number one. So within my program, which is the same one that James was in, except he was doing guitar and then I was in the vocal stream. Within the classes themselves, it was much more your musicology, your music history, music theory, and then you had your private lessons, which was when you were one-on-one with your teacher, and that's when you would really get into the nitty-gritty of like your performance, your technique, whatnot. So I had a teacher for the first year there. She was fantastic. Wasn't quite like getting what I wanted to do. And at this time I had been taking lessons with Lisa Thompson from Sovereign Council, who's in
She
Ottawa.
will be coming on the show.
Oh, is
soon,
she?
Eventually.
Okay,
Yeah, yes,
amazing.
Yes, she will be.
She and I have been working together for a few years.
Cool.
And in between my first year and my second year, I chatted with my professor. I was like, what are the chances that you could bring in my teacher
Yes.
to do my private lessons? Because all of the vast majority of the one-on-one teachers there are all contract instructors.
Okay.
So I was like, I feel like it's a long shot, but it's always a no until you ask. So it was a long shot, but Lisa started teaching me through Carleton as of my second year all the way up till my fourth year, and then she and I are still continuing lessons now. So she and I mean, breath is always something that we come back to, especially if, you know, if I've been away on vacation not practicing, if I've been sick. I mean, I very recently lost my voice, like a month ago, completely gone.
Scary. It's scary.
Very
folks.
scary.
For vocalists, it's terrifying.
And this is the first time it's really happened to me fully. So I was freaked out.
Yep.
Maybe you're able to still hear it a little. We're like getting the strength back still.
That's good.
But when we started getting back to lessons, it's like, hey, we're going to start with all of our breath-based exercises, and always going back to just making sure you have the support there. Because if you don't have the support, you don't have anything. So
Yeah. Those exercises are very important, and gosh, the teachers knew how to really screw with our heads, really mess with our heads with the breath stuff. Like, they would come around, we'd be in the yoga position doing breathing, and they would be like, no, you have not dropped the breath. And I'd be like, what is dropping the breath? Like, what does it mean, and where am I going to drop it to? And they'd be like, you must drop the breath through your perineum. And I'd be like, isn't that your butt muscle? And they'd be like, yeah, go right through it. Yeah. I'd be like, okay, I don't get this. Like, I'm completely confused. And so, like, I'm glad I had, like, some natural ability, because I wasn't a great student at figuring out the breath. And but, I mean, it is something you always have to be mindful of and check in with before performance. And, like, I lost my voice, like, at a show, like, right before recording the second album. And I was like, they're going into the studio, we're in Toronto, and everyone's going in, and they're, like, doing their parts, and I'm like, I think I'll be good. Just, like, 2 more days, and I'll be good. And it's like, the days are ticking, and I just made it. But if you listen to the second album, it's raspy. It's hoarse. It's raspy. And that's because, like, it was just back, and then it was gone again.
Yeah, no, we're going into the studio not this coming weekend, but 2 weeks from now in Toronto. And I, like I said, I'd never really lost my voice before. So I was like, oh my God, we're going to the studio in a month and a half. Like, what the hell am I going to do? So we're, like I said, slowly but surely getting there. But as a singer, it's always nice that the instruments get done first, and you're kind of just like
yes.
the cherry on top. So got a little bit of extra time.
Ah, yes. Except that if your producer is anything like I think, they have plans for you.
Oh, no.
Like, not anything bad. It's just like, you might be rewriting lyrics out. You might be working on sections, figuring out, you know, because they're going to change things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you guys are going to do your pre-prod, but, like, we do our pre-prod, like, a day before we start recording. So our pre-prod, like, goes right into it. So, like, all of a sudden, the songs are one way, and then we go pre-prod, and the songs, they'll get changed drastically, some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them, they don't change at all. They stay this very similar, but some of them drastically change.
100%. And this is our first time, like, we've worked with, we did all of our other recordings with Steve Foley at Audio Valley.
Excellent.
Who's fantastic.
Yep.
But we haven't really had someone as a separate producer before. So super exciting for us getting to do this. Our producer is in Toronto, so we've done some pre-prod with him over Zoom. But
Excellent.
I mean, like you said, I'm just waiting for things to change. And I think that's one of the hardest parts about being an artist is having your work ripped apart and then put back together. And you're like, that's not the song I wrote.
Oh,
and it's such like you have to control your ego so much. But I think it's something that's really a great skill for like using anywhere else in life. So as soon as you can get past that and just be like, I need to serve the music.
No, there you go. And I think you're going to see some really cool results. I'm excited for you. Because what the producer is hopefully going to bring, and well, I know they're going to bring, is certain pop sensibilities, certain expertise on certain albums that are going to really lend themselves to what you guys want to do. And I'm sure they have figured out your voice and where it's going to sit well in a genre and how to make that exciting for everybody in the band. And then once you guys are all pumped about a song that you did there, and you know in the bottom of your gut, like, we did everything for this song that we should have and could have done.
Yeah.
And we are ready to push it, and we are ready to sell it. I'll go door to door. I will jump out of a plane.
That'd be fun.
You know, whatever I have to do, I'm going to promote the song. And I think that's what's going to be for you guys. It's a powerful thing when you get that great song. And you know, it takes work too. Like, this is the thing, is you guys are going to learn so much and have so much fun, and the pressure will be gone. And I think the pressure is a lot of the fun of it too. I was talking with somebody here, and they said, like, they did their album in a year. And I said, what if you had to do your album in 6 days or 7 days? You know, and they're like, what? You know, but yeah. So you guys must be so excited for that.
I'm thrilled. This is our first time recording out of the city as well, so it'll be nice to get into a new space and hopefully pull some inspiration from there. But this song in particular is one that all of the band members agree is our best song yet. So I love some of the songs that we've written, don't get me wrong. I love all the songs that we've written. I have my favorites, of course, but this song is like universally just on top for everyone. And I think when everyone is super pumped about it, you're like, okay, this is actually a good song. It's not just like me feeding my own ego or just playing into what I like. So it's almost more reassuring that way.
Yeah, I think it's really what you're going for, and it's actually not easy to achieve. I think everybody just assumes that when a band releases a song that everybody in the band equally loves that song, and that therefore it's, you know, they're all equal, and they're not. In my experience, like, sometimes on an album, like, you'll have several favorites, and then someone else will have several favorites. Then you find out, like, what the crowd likes. That was like kind of what we went through learning with our first with Down with the Devil and Wake Up Boy. I did not know that people were gonna like Wake Up Boy. I figured out in my head they were gonna like Down with the Devil. Like, I'd figured that much out with the guys in the band.
Yeah.
But Wake Up Boy, I did not know. And then all of a sudden people
It's such a singable song. How could it not be a favorite?
Gave us a reaction, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for. I'm not saying that the songs went platinum, folks. I'm just saying we got a reaction out of them.
Yeah.
And a noticeable one where, and that's really, I think, all artists are looking for. They're looking to present and then see, okay, what did you think about that? You know? And you guys are going to do that and have fun and just, like I said, you're going to learn and grow and be challenged and come out even better than you were before, which is what it's all about.
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, I have no doubt that that's going to happen. And I think another thing that's really important is like the four of us being able to get that quality time together. Because as much as, you know, we have the rehearsals each week, we spend time together, like we're going to be Airbnb together. We're going to be in a car together for 5 hours to Toronto. Like it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of men over the weekend, all living in the same space as me, which is not something I'm very used to, but it'll be.
Hey, it's time to get used to it before you go on tour with these guys, right?
I know, and some of them are stinky. So
oh, they're all stinky.
No, I know. I was just trying to be nice.
They're all stinky, and like Joe jumped in my bed in the trailer like at like 5 in the morning up north, and where I was sleeping in this little trailer bed with Alex, our bass player, like this little bed, and in comes Joe like we're getting into the bed at the end and started ratcheting the blanket off of us. Like, I was like, excuse me. And then, like, I had to sleep with my feet up in the air. So, like,
Sounds comfortable.
I know. And then sometimes Miguel, and we put Miguel with his cousin in the early days, him and Danny, we'd stick them in the bed together. But now it's like, who's going to get Miguel? Because he jumps into bed with just his underwear on, and I don't want anything to do with him. So, but yeah, you're going to experience all that. And
you get very close.
Yes, exactly. And you will have a lot of fun. So tell me, I have this question for you that's interesting.
Okay.
James, he really came down on music videos. He almost, like, hurt my feelings with his opinions on music videos. Mm-hmm. And, like, he's so strong on that opinion. And I just want to know, like, are you aligned with James on his feelings on music videos?
It's tricky. It's so tricky. James and I have... we don't... how do I say this? We have somewhat differing views. I think if you're making a music video, I mean, I think like video content in general is a great thing to make. And like we've been trying to do the shorter length videos and little snippets of playthroughs here and there and, you know, TikToks and whatnot, which we're all very not super TikTok ready, but
yeah, I hate it. I hate doing it. But
you just gotta force yourself
trying to. Yeah.
But for a music video to be worthwhile, I think you have to put some effort into it. I don't have a problem with like a music video being a playthrough video as long as it looks somewhat interesting. I think if someone likes your live performance, I don't think there's harm in giving them a live performance that they can just go back and watch over and over again. And the one music video that we do have is a playthrough.
Nice.
And we did that with Andrew Parmalee from Civilian, which was super, super fun. We filmed it in his basement, and he's a great videographer.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Whereas James, from what I understand last time we chatted about it, he thinks it needs to be like a more extravagant thing, like there needs to be production or story or something. So I don't necessarily agree with him there, but I do think if you're gonna do a music video, you can't half-ass it.
It's true. I would definitely agree with that one, that you should definitely plan and go all out and have as much fun and include as many people as you can.
Yeah, your music videos are super fun. I remember when you guys were posting about that, like, hey, come hang out and be an extra for our video, and it was just a whole bunch of your friends all partying while you were singing music. It was awesome.
A whole bunch of Taming Sorry fans came out, and we made memories, and I'll treasure them forever. For all those videos, like those days were just fantastic days, being with like everyone who loves our band and supported us. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. That's why I like it. And I saw the end, and like I got that bands used to compete for the hype, and we still do. And when you compete for the hype, Much Music and MTV was where it was at.
Sure.
And, you know, if you could get a music video that was cooler than somebody else's music video, oh, wow, that was the bee's knees, man. And, like, I remember, you know, bands would do anything. They used to fly up, like, people... I remember this one band telling a story about flying a helicopter with a piano and, like, bringing it up to the top of a pyramid. And then, like, as the sun was coming up, the guards are coming to arrest them because you're not allowed to be there. And you're definitely not allowed to have a piano there. And so the guards are, like, coming up as the, like, helicopter comes down and picks them up and off
It's
they
very
go.
rock and roll.
Yeah, and they have to leave the piano behind. And it's like, but they're like, with that music video... number one. It's like, yeah, it was worth almost getting arrested in Egypt. Like, I'm sure that would have been totally worth
All for
it.
the music.
Right? So that's cool. I like that. I like your thinking on that. And I know you guys are going to keep presenting incredibly high-end content. And the other comment I had was the live video thing you're talking about is where it's at.
Yeah.
So definitely focusing on that before doing... the standard music video is the right idea. That is the right plan to, like, show that you can play. You know, you're basically showing the world, yeah, I can play. Like, you know, it's not just a nice recording. When we need to throw down, we can throw down. Yeah,
we've got one more, like, full-length video on our YouTube page right now, and it's one of our songs from Rocktoberfest. And I love watching that video back because... You see, not only is it super fun because we were all dressed in Star Wars costumes, which you guys
look great.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so, like, getting to dress up as Princess Leia and perform, I was like, fantasy number one, come on. But getting to see that and to, like, have that, not only is it an awesome time capsule of where you were in your career at that moment, but also a great learning tool to be able to watch a live video of yourself, which is uncomfortable, as I'm sure you know.
It is.
And critique yourself and make yourself better. So hard, but so rewarding.
Yeah,
and then
needed. Always needed, yep.
Being able to look at, like, the crowd as well in that video and see the engagement and, like, see the mosh pit. It's a great reminder of, like, this is one of the reasons why I do this and why I love this.
Absolutely. So earlier you said your dad was stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say that I've met your mom on a couple occasions when I've seen her out and about with you, doing music things, and I was always, you know, noticed that I thought you guys had, like, that she's very smart and very obviously, but, like, has a savvy for music and, like, for what you're doing. Like, I believe she's taken a real interest in this for you. And how big and how important are your parents in your musical journey?
So incredibly important. I mean, I have two younger twin sisters. Both are also involved in the arts. One of them is a script writer, and then one of them is a visual artist. So our household, especially, like, with my dad, his family coming from very practical careers. Like I said, he was a security guard, and then he was in real estate for a little bit before being stay-at-home. And then my mom as well. Like, there's not a ton of creative background there. My mom, she has some cousins and extended family that's in the music scene as well, which is super cool. But not a ton of direct influence. So for them to be as supportive as they are and to be like, yeah, just go for your dreams and be with you 100% is, I mean, it means the world, and it would mean the world to any kid. But my mom, especially with 5+9, with the old band, because at the time, I think when it started, I was like 15 years old, so had no clue what I was doing. Just knew that I loved music and wanted to roll with it. She and one of the other moms in the band were essentially our band managers, momagers, if you will. So she got really into all things music business right away, just to support me in my dreams. She's actually her own business owner as well. That's what she does for work. So she already had the business savvy and then just learned the music aspect of it to meld those two worlds together. But as I grew older and wanted to start learning things for myself and growing more independent, that's when I started learning with her. She passed on that knowledge to me, and then now with Space Between, it's fully self-managed by me and the other two guys. But no, I could not be more grateful for my parents and their support in that, because I truly, without them, and I know everyone says this, everyone's like, oh, I'm so grateful for my parents, which is great. But my parents, like, I would not be where I am right now without their, like, undying support.
Mm-hmm. No, I thought so. And it's the same for me. Gosh, yeah. I wouldn't have gotten very far at all, and I wouldn't get anywhere tomorrow or any other day. I'm very lucky, very blessed, and hopefully you are too, watching at home right now. I want to say thank you so much. Thank you to Maryn Pegan of The Space Between. Get out and see one of their shows. Go see The Damn Truth. They're going to be opening for them. This will be in August, so
August 31st.
Get out to that. And, keep posted. There's going to be new music coming from them, all kinds of cool stuff. Like, I want to talk to you when you get out of the studio, and when you hear the mixes and everything. Then I want to talk to you guys and hear the stories about how it went and everything.
Hell yeah. I would be happy to come back anytime.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Maryn. And thank you for watching at home. And we'll see you next time on All Worn Out. Bye-bye, folks.